It's showtime, baby. Let's go. Woo!
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the show. This is Sports with Strawberry Ice. I'm here, Ice Man Jeff Trunapole, and as always, I bring you sports from a West Side point of view, right here in the great city of Cincinnati, Ohio, home of some of the best barbecue wings around. If you have not checked them out yet, go check out Midwest's Best Barbecue. I suggest the Uno wings, the G-Funk wings. Hell, they even got Grippo wings. They are delicious. Go check them out. What's up to everybody who's watching the show? I am live streaming on ZTV, YouTube, Facebook, X, Twitter, Rumble, and everybody listens on the podcast. What's up? It's on BeanPod, Apple iTunes, Spotify, Google, Stitcher Play, pretty much wherever you get your podcast. Please make sure you rate, like, and review. And as always, you know what I come to you live from this glorious place down here. It's the Ice Cave. The Ice Cave is brought to you by T Properties. T Properties, quality housing for quality people. Check out their website at www.tpropertiesllc.com for all your rental property management needs and your rental needs. And Dave Lapham knows it. I know it. The Bengals hit the jackpot when we drafted Joe Burrow. That's why we call him Jackpot Joey. Anyway, if you guys want any of the gear, the hats, the hoodies, the flags, any of that stuff, go to jackpotjoey9.com. Remember, portion of the proceeds go to the Joe Burrow Foundation, so you're not only wearing cool stuff, you're also supporting Joe's cause. And if you guys are in the market for any kind of windows and doors, I just got new windows and doors in my house here about a year ago from Meyer Windows and Doors. Give them a chance. They, like I said, my house, the Ice Cave, it's not cold down here. It's nice and warm. I still call it the Ice Cave. It's nice and cool in the summertime and nice and warm in the wintertime. My windows were drafty, broke, and just generally I need to get new ones. So give Meyer Door and Windows a shout out. They will give you free estimates, and you can actually see the Jackpot Joey mobile too if you want to check that out. What's up to everybody in the chat? We've got, who's in there first? Wells is in there. Brad's in there. Robert's in there. Paul's in there. But wow, you guys blow it up. It's like you guys knew Dave Lapham was going to be here, and like everybody shows up. Like I do this show every day, and like half the people don't show up, and I get Dave Lapham on, and everybody shows up. I'm just kidding. Let's get to the man that I like to refer to as Mr. Bengal. He's Dave Lapham. Lap, what's going on, brother?
What's happening, Strawberry Ice? You the man.
Thanks, brother. How are you? How's your off season going?
Going pretty well. It's it's still recovering from a long grind of the season, but it gets harder and harder as the years roll on. But it was a interesting year without Joe Burrow. Still had a chance, had a winning record, 3 straight winning records. So I thought they acquitted themselves pretty well, particularly Jake Browning. I mean, the Bengals are in a situation now. It's quarterback-driven league. They get the best starting quarterback in the NFL and the best backup in the NFL. It's pretty good.
Yeah, that's not bad. I'll take it because, Dave, I had this conversation on here more times than I like to admit that I always kept saying, if Joe Burrow gets hurt, it doesn't matter. The season's over. This team revolves around Joe Burrow. Right. Jake Browning damn near took us to the playoffs. I mean, if we could beat 1 or 2 more games, we could have been in the playoffs. And you never know. You get in, who knows what's going to happen. But, I mean, that bodes well moving forward, at least for this year, that we have established good quarterback. And from what Duke Tobin and Zach Taylor said in their press conference today, that seems like Joe is progressing with his wrist and everything is on schedule as far as we know. So hopefully he'll get back and he'll be I'm hoping he'll be thrown by minicamp. Do you think is that in the timetable of he might be thrown around them, or is that pushing a little bit too much?
No, I think that's the hope. They say that he's on schedule, maybe even a little bit ahead of it, but this ligament that was torn on the top of the wrist, I mean, it's a moderately rare injury. And
Shocking.
surgery went successfully, though, that's for sure. And he's got a pin in there, and he'll have it in there for, I think it's going to be at least a 3-month time frame. So, but I think the projection is that he'll still have velocity, still have accuracy. He won't lose any of that. But it's just a freak injury. I mean, his hand was in this position when he hit the ground and rolled his hand up under his arm and tore that ligament. So it's a freak injury for sure.
And that's why I keep trying to tell people. I mean, a lot of Chiefs fans, a lot of Bengal haters are coming after Joe, and when they say stuff like, "Oh, Glass Joe, he's injury prone," they're like, "Well, 2 of his 4 seasons he didn't finish." I'm like, I know, but both injuries are not common injuries. I mean, they're both freak injuries. They could have happened even if we had the greatest offensive line in the world. They both could have happened. It's football. That's kind of I don't think Joe's injury prone. He's just been kind of unlucky, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's been caught in some unlucky positions and, been awkward the way his hand was on that particular play. I mean, the odds of that happening, having that hand tucked underneath that way is, I don't know what they are, but I've seen in the National Football League guys, the first few years in the league, they just can't stay healthy. Then they have a 10-year run where they never get hurt. Right. And I've seen vice versa. I've seen guys start their careers with 10 healthy seasons and all of a sudden can't stay healthy at the end of the season. So you just never know. I mean, the football gods have their own way of handling it, I guess. But I do think there's no doubt that it's not due to lack of conditioning, lack of whatever. I mean, this guy is as focused as anybody can possibly be on doing everything the way he needs to get it done in the right way to complete a season. That's for sure.
Exactly. Like I said when we started this thing, the chat is blowing up, so people want to ask you some questions here. So let's get to a couple of them here. Robert here says, Lap the legend. What are Dave's thoughts on our biggest needs for the team? Any players he has looked at on tape-wise, like in the upcoming draft? Thanks. Appreciate you, Houday.
Yeah, I mean, I think the obvious needs are, you got to look at where they're losing players. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind, though, you look at it, they have 20 free agents. They get 19 now because they tagged Tee Higgins, but they don't have a tight end under contract.
No.
I mean, they've got one that's an unrestricted free agent, and that's the tight end that Drew Sample's given him the most snaps, and then Mitchell Wilcox and Tanner Hudson are both restricted free agents. So, obviously got to get a tight end under contract, and I mean, if they can somehow, I've seen in one mock draft where Bowers ends up at number 18. If you can get a guy like that, the tight end, that caliber out of Georgia, I mean, he's not only he could fill 2 needs for him. I mean, he could fill a tight end position need as a receiver, and he can also play slot. I mean, this guy he's not huge, but he's got good size. He's got really good speed for his size. He runs good routes. I mean, he could literally be a slot receiver for him in some way, shape, or form as well if they flex him out from the tight end position. So I mean, this guy, if he were there at 18, you'd have to think about that. But I think it's a very, very deep draft at the tight end position, and particularly at the offensive tackle position. And I've seen a couple of mock drafts where I don't know if it's Lapham or Latham. Only a T and a P is the only difference in the way we spell our names. And I've had people call me Lapham. So I don't know if it's Latham or Latham.
Hey, my last name's Trinipole. You don't want to know what the heck I got called sometimes.
Yeah, really. I mean, this big kid out of Alabama, man, he's 6 whatever, 300 whatever, and he runs sub 4.9 40.
Right.
I mean, it's crazy, like 4.85 40. I mean, and he's very smooth. He's very athletic. I mean, I've seen him, be the guy in a few drafts. Fuaga, the kid from Oregon State, I just can't believe that he's going to be there. Mims could possibly be there out of Georgia. So I mean, there's some candidates at the tackle position for sure. And I think that if any of those guys were there, they'd probably consider that. I mean, the depth at the wide receiver position is strong this year as well. But you just drafted a couple of young guys last year that are going to continue to develop. They had good rookie campaigns. There's no question about it. Yosivas has got size. He's got speed. He's got intelligence. He ended up with 4 touchdown catches down the stretch. They're in pretty good shape there. It's not like they have to make a move there. Charlie Jones has ended up being a guy that's versatile, can play a few spots. He can return kicks as well. Trenton Irwin is one of the guys that's an unrestricted free agent. at the receiver position. So I don't know. It's like if some receiver that they have pretty high in their board slides because it's so deep,
Right.
at that position, they could pull the trigger on that potentially at 18 as well. Who knows? I mean, it's pretty good in the edge rush category as well. But again, they got Miles Murphy, they got some Osai, they got some young guys they want to develop. Is that a huge need? But man, you can never have enough of those kind of guys.
Right,
So,
right.
I mean, if one of those guys slides, it's like, what the hell is this guy doing at 18? They could pull the trigger, in many ways. And so their roster, it's not like they have, with DJ Reader's injury, you got to think.
Do you think he's coming back? Do you think?
I
I think
think
they are. But
I think he will. I think he'll come back. And the question is, will he come back at the level that he was
Right.
before the injury? I mean, he had the other one injured. He's torn the patella tendon now in both knees, and he came back from the other one, but that was like 3 or 4 years ago. Now he's got a little bit more wear and tear on him overall, and he has the same injury, but he's doing pretty well. I mean, he's ahead of schedule in the rehab process as well, and he's a genetic freak, so I wouldn't discount him. And now he's an unrestricted free agent. But the price tag on him, because of that injury, I mean, other teams in the league are like, boy, he's pushing
Right.
30, coming off that injury.
that's why I think we might be able to get him back, prove it deal or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be a situation. Unfortunately for him,
Right.
I think it hurt his chances. I think other teams are maybe going to balk a little bit, and I think the Bengals may be able to get him to return for a little bit less money than he had thought he might be able to get. Unfortunately for him, so we'll see how it all shakes down.
Now, one thing I want to ask your opinion on this with the wide receivers, Yoshi Austin and Charlie Jones. Do you see? And he didn't do it this year, but I think he could. Do you see them trying to put Yoshi in the slot a little bit more next year, or do you think they put him on the outside and Chase in the slot more? Which one do you think they might do?
I think they could do both. I think the one thing that the wide receiver group prides itself on is being able to play every single position. X, Z, flank or split end in the slot. They want to be interchangeable in that regard, and they want to have guys that are capable of playing all those position groups and try to get favorable matchups accordingly, either by formation or motioning to it or whatever the case may be. So, I mean, I think that's almost like a prerequisite. It's like, hey, if you're going to play wide receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals, you have to have some versatility to you. You're not just an X. You're not just a Z. You're not just a wide receiver. You got to be able to give us a little bit of it all.
I got lots of people in here wanting to vote you for Ring of Honor, so I'll put it out here now. Let's put Corey Dillon and Dave Lapham in the Ring of Honor next year. I think we should do that. That would be awesome. Now, Pork Chop here, and this is another one that I've started to fall in love with. JPJ, Jason, I think Jason Powers Johnson. I think I'm saying his name right. Lots of people on Twitter are talking about him at 18. What's your thoughts on him, Lap? Like value at 18. He's a center that's actually played guard and I think tackle out of, I want to say Texas. I think it is. I can't remember. I think that's the school. Somebody in the chat will help me out.
I'm not sure of the school either, but I do know that I've seen him late first round. I've seen him, just after the middle of the first round. So I mean, he's probably a guy that'll be in that area, that part of conversation.
Yeah, it's Oregon. That's where he's at.
Oregon, yeah. He'd probably be in a group of players in that discussion, but I think they feel like, with Jonah Williams, the situation with him, I think they feel like first and foremost, particularly in the first round, if it's an offensive lineman, it wouldn't shock me if it's a tackle and not an interior guy.
I've put it this way. I've been saying this on a show here is I'm waiting to see what they do in free agency. I think the Bengals are probably going to do what they did in 2021, sign a whole bunch of, and I hate to say lower tier guys, but because these guys have been great players for us, like Trey Hendrickson and Mike Hilton and Chidobe Awuzie. They weren't the upper guys. They were prove-it guys. Where they got them in the right time of their career and they took off. I think that's what they're going to try to do again this year. But then it depends on who they sign. Like, so let's just say if they sign Illuminor from the Raiders, you sign him to a 1-year deal. I still think they're going to draft a right tackle if they sign him. Now they sign Trent Brown or one of these other guys to a longer term contract. Then I don't think they're going to draft one. I mean, what's your thoughts? I mean, on that whole situation there?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have a problem with if they do sign whoever the veteran free agent is, that they double down and draft one as well. That would not hurt my feelings whatsoever. I mean, I think you can never have enough quality guys. And if you can play tackle in the National Football League, you can kick inside and play guard as well. It's a little bit more difficult for most guys to go, if he's predominantly a guard, to kick out to tackle, but tackles can definitely kick inside more readily and easily and play that position. So I mean, it's like however you can get bodies that are capable to the party, man, and having as many options as you can to put your best 5 guys out there. That there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever.
And that would warm your lineman heart there, right? Get some
no
more
problem with that.
lineman in there.
The other thing, the first thing you have to do is decide who you're going to re-sign. And obviously, the only guy that's been tagged so far in the National Football League is Tee Higgins.
Did that surprise you that they did it this early? Does that surprise you? Do you read into that at all as early as it was? Because they didn't have to do it now.
No, they didn't have to, but I think they wanted to make sure that the message was sent. We want you. We value. Right. And you can still, there's a period where they can negotiate and still try to get some kind of a long-term deal done. But let's face it. I mean, with when you're looking ahead, you got to do the same thing with Jamar Chase. I mean, it's like, okay, and a lot of people are saying tag and trade him. You can do that next year. They can tag him again next year. Why would you tag and trade him this year? Why don't you just tag him? And if it doesn't work out, can't get a long-term deal done where you feel like, all right, I've got this amount left. How much will the salary cap go up next year? It went up $30 million this year, 225 to 255 million. I mean, the Bengals are in the top 5 in salary cap space. So I think that was another reason, man. Now you get all this other room to play. Let's get that part of it over with right there. And we know we've at least got him, for a year to run it back. I don't know. I mean, if the tag and trade thing to me, Duke Tobin was very, very adamant about, we value Tee Higgins. We like Tee Higgins. We want Tee Higgins. So, I mean, they wanted to make sure that he was going to be with them for at least next season and maybe hopefully longer.
Yeah, like he said, he said that on his press conference that they value T. And like he said last year, he's like, I'm not in the business of making other teams better. And like you said, they could tag him again next year. So I mean, there's no reason they have to do anything else right now. Now the I don't want to say problem is, or what makes me think that they're not going to be able to sign him is his agent, David Mulgett. It's the same one as Jesse Bates. And his whole job, and I've said this before, the guy's doing his job. His whole job is to get his player as much money as he can.
Sure.
And he's really good at it. And he's gotten a lot of his players big contracts. So go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it around the league, to have a quarterback like Joe Burrow and have 2 number ones, literally. These guys are 1A and 1B. They're 2 number 1 receivers. Man, and if you were to get, say, like a Bowers at the tight end position, which would be, in my mind, a pipe dream. Yeah. But that guy as a tight end, dude. Are you kidding me? Holy mackerel, that would be
well, all right, I got it. We'll sign a interior defense lineman, we'll sign a right tackle, and we'll drop Bowers. And if you had Dave, if you had Bowers, Tee Higgins, Jamar Chase, holy smokes, dude.
Man, that would be crazy. And the other thing, I mean, I've been saying the whole time is Joe Burrow structured his contract to try to leave money on the table to make this happen, to make sure that you can bring Tee Higgins back and Jamar Chase for, taking another shot at it. Joe basically deferred money and structured his contract to try to be as cap friendly as possible. It's a ton of money, obviously, that he's making, but it's how it's paid out. So I think he would have been, disappointed if they. You can't just let Tee Higgins walk.
You can't you can't
let a guy that caliber walk, man.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why I get with these national guys like, oh, I went tag T. I'm like, you just let him leave? I mean, he's one of the best wide receivers in football. I get nothing for him?
Right.
I know $21 million is a lot of freaking money for 1 year, but that doesn't make any sense to just let him go.
And you look at the numbers, the productivity when Tee Higgins is playing and when he isn't. I mean, yards per catch, touchdowns, wins and losses. I mean, the Bengals are a better football team when Tee Higgins is out there with Jamar Chase, believe me.
Exactly. And I'm glad you brought up the Joe Burrow thing, because I know in his last press conference, I don't know if it was you or somebody did ask him about that. He said there's stuff in place. And I keep telling people, I think there are things in place that Joe's put in there to try to help out to keep everybody together as much as he can. So That is an option. So, and that's just because they tagged him, it ain't over. They still could sign him. I mean, I don't know if it's going to happen, but they still could. The window's still open. It's just he's not going anywhere. That's the biggest thing is they want to keep him, and I like that. I mean, I'm excited about that.
If they can tag him, and then if other things don't evolve like they had hoped from a negotiating standpoint, and get through all that, and there's money left on the table, go back to negotiating with T on a long-term deal. I mean, they're just trying to give themselves some flexibility in terms of dollars to negotiate with. But you do know that with him being tagged, you got him next year.
Right. You don't have to worry about it. It's done. So with that being said, we got the NFL Combine this week. You're not there right now. Are you planning on going to the Combine at all? You stay here? Okay. So did they have the NFL Combine when you got drafted?
Oh, hell no.
No. Did they have? Because I had Corey Dillon on this week, and I asked him. I said, "Did they have pro days when you were there?" He said, "Yeah." Like, did they have pro days when you got drafted, or you just got drafted?
There were no pro days, but the Senior Bowl was huge. I mean, if you played in the Senior Bowl, it was a great honor and all that. That was the best of the All-Star games. It was the college All-Stars playing against the World Championship team.
Oh wow!
That won the Super Bowl, the year before. And so that was that was a great game. And in that game, I mean, man, when you lined up, like I remember going in pass protection against Ed Too Tall Jones, who was the number one pick of the draft in my draft year.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, and now all of a sudden here come, I mean, you had owners, you had general managers, you had head coaches, you had Scott. Everybody's making a big circle around the one-on-one pass rush drill, and they're like right on top of you. And it's like they're just like checking it out, seeing who can handle it. I mean, there wasn't even, they didn't even tape practices. I mean, we didn't have, when I was playing, it was 16 millimeter film. I mean, there were no cell phones. There were no cell phones.
Hey, I've been around with no cell phones. I mean, I was talking to my mother-in-law and father-in-law still have a rotary phone.
Yeah.
And my daughter and them were like, "What? How do you make this?"
Yeah.
Like, you don't know how to make that work. Like, I guess not.
They think they're in a museum or something.
they don't even know what a payphone is, Dave. Like,
right.
Like, we don't even have those anymore. It's just like, it hasn't been that long. Like, so my daughter's about to turn 20, and so 20 years ago, it was 2004. I'm like, man. 20 years ago, to me, still seems like it should be like 1995 or something like that, not 2004. I'm like, where the hell did time go? So anyway, Mon's got something out here for you. He said your 1975 team was one of the best ever. I've said this about your teams in the 70s. If they had the playoffs like they do now, or like they did in the 80s, where more teams got in, you guys could have made some noise in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean that 1975 team, 11-3. From a winning percentage, it's still the best team in Bengals history. The winning percentage, 11-3, is better than 12-4 when you just do the, by minimal percentage points, or whatever. Right. So that football team was really, really a good football team. There's no doubt about it. And we lost in the playoffs to the Oakland Raiders by 3 points. It was anybody's game. Could have advanced. But that was a quality football team. That was the first. I got drafted by the Bengals in 1974, and didn't have a starting job, but worked. Got into quite a few of the games to both right and left guard, and worked through that process. And then in 1975, got the starting right guard job in that football team. And man, I'm telling you, Kenny Anderson was unbelievable that year. Isaac Curtis, Chip Myers, Bob Trumpy was unbelievable. I mean. It was a quality football team. We had Mike Reed, was playing defensive tackle. Berge had just been traded to the Philadelphia Eagles at middle linebacker. We ended up playing the Eagles that year, and that was crazy. Some of the offensive linemen that had been with Bill Berge, I hadn't been because he was gone. He was traded after for my rookie year, and it's like, man, there was a war going on with Bill Berge and those offensive linemen. So, listen, that's a long time ago, man, but some good memories. But man, 50 years, that's 50 years ago. It's unbelievable.
I know. I'll be 50 next year. I was born in 75, so yes.
Man, yeah, it's like I'm thinking, you know what? I've been doing some with these guys 6 decades, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010, 2020. 6 decades and 50 years, man. It is 50 plus years now. It's crazy.
That's all. That's why I call you Mr. Bengal. I mean, you've been a part of this team's history almost since the beginning. So I mean, that's where like you deserve to be in the Ring of Honor. But how frustrating is it when you just named off all those guys? If we just won one damn Super Bowl, it could have changed so much stuff. Like Ken Anderson would have already been in there. We wouldn't have had to fight for Lapham Lamar or Ken Riley or any of these other guys. I mean, and I think I've asked this before on the show, but how in the hell is the San Diego? I always do this every time I bring his name up. I forget his name. The San Diego quarterback. How in the hell is he in?
Dan Fouts.
Yeah. How is he in the Hall of Fame and Ken Anderson's not? Because I'm pretty sure you guys beat him in the Freezer Bowl. I'm just saying to go to the Super Bowl, and Dan Fouts never went to the Super Bowl ever. I think that was the closest they got. I think
You're right. You're right.
But he got it a long time ago. And that's one argument I always have, Dave. It's like, okay, you say Ken didn't win a Super Bowl. Well, neither did he. He never even went to one, and he's in. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me, David. Nobody can ever explain that to me.
No, I hear you. And everybody says, well, he was part of Eric Coryell, and look at the yards that they put up and the touchdown passes, and his numbers are crazy.
Yeah, they are.
Dan Fouts' numbers are crazy. Yeah. There's no doubt. And he was part of Eric Coryell with Kellen Winslow and Charlie.
I'm not saying he doesn't deserve to be in. I'm just saying you're not holding the same thing against Ken Anderson. That's the thing that drives me nuts.
And I look at Ken Anderson in the beginning of his career, like in 1975. We had Bill Walsh put together our offense, and that offense was, the West Coast offense, yep. and Kenny Anderson executed at a really high level. And man, you throw out Lamar Parrish, and I'm thinking back in that defensive football team we were talking about, and the back end had Lapham Lamar, Kenny Riley, Tommy Casanova.
Yeah,
those three guys, all three of them Pro Bowl caliber players, all in the same secondary for the Bengals. I mean, that team was a damn good football team, boy.
Yeah, if you look back at the early to mid '70s teams, you guys had a lot of really good teams. Yeah, there's stupid Steelers.
I know.
In the way
we go 11-3 and we're the wild card. The Steelers won 12-2 and won the Super Bowl.
Right,
unbelievable.
Well, I was listening to the podcast. There was a year you guys I think swept the Steelers and didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah.
What year was that? Do you remember?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm trying to think of what year it was.
I heard that on a podcast. I can't remember who said that.
Might have been, was it 76? We went 10-4. I can't remember if it was, no, I don't think it was 76. I'm not sure. But that was the other thing. We went 11-3 in 75, 10-4 in 76.
Mine said 79.
We went 21-7 over a 2-year span. And we went 10-4 and didn't even make the playoffs in 1976 with a 10-4 record. You had the Pittsburgh Steelers, and then you had the Houston Oilers with Kenny Stabler and Earl Campbell and Love You Blue and all that. And they went. The Steelers went 12-2. The Oilers go 11-3. We go 10-4 in the AFC Central Division at that time, and we don't even make the playoffs because, like you said, there's only one wild card team.
Right,
and we didn't make it with a 10-4 record, and the Oilers were the team that went. It was crazy.
Yeah. It's enough to irritate you.
Yeah,
just a little bit. But that's what makes I think the last 3 years so much fun, especially for you, for being a lifelong Bengal. And I mean, I'm a lifelong Bengal fan, but you've been in the organization for 50 years. What's the last 3 years been like? I know this year didn't turn out the way we wanted to. If Joe stays healthy, that's we know what will happen. We'll go to the playoffs, and you never know what happens there. But what's the last 3 years for you been like? Going from the 70s to 80s, and then we went through the dark decade of the 90s, and then we had the 2000s, but now we're here where we are a legit Super Bowl contender every year, and it's not just us saying it; the national media are saying it. What's that like for you?
Yeah, I mean it cycles. Like you said, there have been some down times and some good time. 5 straight playoff appearances under Marvin Lewis. Didn't win any playoff games, but got there 5 years in a row,
yep.
Which was a good run with Andy Dalton. But this one, I mean, it's all predicated on keeping Joe Burrow healthy. The 2 years that he has played the entire season, they've gone to the Super Bowl and gone to the AFC Championship. The 2 years that he hasn't stayed healthy, they have not.
Right.
And last year almost did. They came within a whisker of playoff qualification with Jake Browning doing some good work. So I think you have a quarterback of Joe Burrow's caliber. You have a shot every single year. There's no doubt. I mean, it is a quarterback driven league. There's no two ways about it. It always has been, but it's even more so now in this era. And I think I'm looking for the defense to make a big rebound this year. I think they're gonna stay healthier. You got some of the young guys in the back end that have a full year under their belt now. I know year 1 to year 2 for me was like, whoa, man, the light came on. I didn't know what I didn't know as a rookie, but second year guy, you go through that rookie year and all the bumps and lumps you take, and you learn from it, man. And then all of a sudden, you're a different player in year 2. And I think that's going to be the case with a lot of those guys on the back end that had problems. They just blew assignments. A guy's running wide open. It's not they don't have the talent, but from a mentality standpoint, they weren't secure in what they were supposed to do mentally. So I'm looking forward to the defense having a big rebound.
Yeah, that to me, Dave, was the biggest disappointment of this year. It's how this defense played. Now, with that being said, a lot of the blown assignments and stuff like that, people are talking about communication, Dax Hill, Jordan Battle. But everybody forgets when Bell and Bates were under Ludini's coaching the first year or two. They weren't that good in the system either. Are you expecting a big leap from Battle and Dax this year as far as communication and getting everybody in the right position?
Absolutely. And I could see it last year. It starts with Lou's system. It starts from back to front. Mm-hmm. So, the safeties are the ones that are communicating, making calls. And I remember many times this year, Logan Wilson turning around like, what is it? Make the call. It's like, it wasn't necessarily, all right. The biggest problem was hesitancy. It's like, make a call and live by it. Don't leave. I'm not sure. So now, if you're not making any call, or you're making the call so late, it hurts every level of the defense. It starts from the back down. And Logan Wilson's trying to get it from the back end so he can communicate what he wants the front seven to do. Right. And man, when it's not, if it's not all crisp and clean and clear, you got problems. So I think it's going to be light years better, in my opinion. Like I said before, light years better next year.
Now, do you think they'll add another veteran safety to the room? Because, let's be honest, Nick Scott was left a little bit to be desired. His tackling wasn't all there. Do you think they might upgrade to that? And just as far as the backup position, maybe replacing Nick Scott or maybe adding to that room?
They could. It's a possibility. Again, the economics of it are going to play a big part in it. But I think they do feel like Jordan Battle and Dax Hill are high caliber starting level NFL safeties. So I don't think they want to bring anybody in that would retard that development of that tandem. I think they want them to be the 1-2 punch at the safety position. And it would be a guy, like you say, if there's one of them has an injury or whatever the case may be, that the whole thing doesn't fall apart back there. Or they may stand pat and maybe take a guy in the draft in a mid to late round at the safety spot. There are options there for sure.
The only one I want to get back to the draft and ask you about right tackle. And I think Duke Tobin said this back when we drafted Jackson Carman, that it takes a good 2 years to really develop a offensive lineman and tackle. Is that normal? Does it really take that long? Would you be comfortable if they drafted a right tackle rookie and put him in there and expect him to be a plug and play tackle to protect Joe Burrow?
Well, I know this guy's an unusual guy, but old number 78. When they drafted Anthony Munoz, the very first minicamp practice, I'm like,
they broke the mold when they made him.
Yeah, we got something unique here. And then let's see physically. He was just so dominant. He's the best athlete I've ever seen over 250 pounds. I am not kidding you. His footwork, his movement, he was so fluid, so smooth. And that's what tape I've seen on these guys. They're big behemoth guys, but they're so fluid and so agile and so smooth. I would hope, not necessarily throw them in there as a rookie, but I would hope if you draft a guy, in the middle of the first round, that you'd like to get something out of him as a rookie, and then in that second year, say, here you go.
Yeah, you're up.
Hopefully he'd be solid enough where and a lot of times it's not the physical part of it; it's the mental part of it. It's from going from college football to the National Football League. It's like going from undergraduate to graduate school, trying to get your doctorate before you get your undergraduate degree. It's a little tough.
So, out of the guys you've looked at, who do you think who's your top tackles in this draft right now? I mean, we're probably not gonna get the top 1 to 18, but who do you have them ranked as?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't looked at tape of enough tape of all of them yet.
Okay.
But Fasciano, I think how you pronounce his name, from Penn State, I think he's a talent. I don't think he's going to be there at 18. I'd be stunned if he were there at 18. Washington's got a good one. I mean, he's a solid player. There's no question about that. Fuaga, Oregon State, the big beast. He's a monster, and man, he is so fluid. When he pulls and runs, it's like, wow. I just can't believe how gifted some of these guys are. Mims from Georgia, talked about him a little bit. I think he's he's
the one I like. I like him a lot.
Yeah, I think he's another guy that I guess you could look at a little bit out of Oklahoma, Guyton.
Mm-hmm.
He's another one that he might be like a later first round candidate, but I mean, I think there's going to be somebody there that is worthy of that 18th pick in the draft. I mean, there's like more than a handful, over half a dozen of these offensive tackles are first round prospects. I mean, it's legit, and really, you just got to hope that all the quarterbacks get picked. They don't slide.
Yeah.
All the great wide receivers get picked. They don't slide. And those offensive linemen, the numbers are still up there. Wow, it's here we are at number 10, and there's only 2 offensive linemen that have come out. Now Joe Alt's gone. Alt's gone in probably the top 5.
Right.
But he'll hopefully a couple more are gone by the time they get out of the out of the top 12. And now it's like, might have a really good opportunity to grab one of these guys at 18. There may be somebody left there for the choosing.
Now I got a scenario for you. Would you be surprised if they? I mean, I'm not surprised. I know they're going to most likely sign a veteran right tackle, but let's say they go with, because I really like Jason Powers Johnson, that kid out of Oregon. I think because getting a center, I think is the anchor to your offensive line. Now I would put him at guard at first and let Ted Karras finish it out center this year, and then move him in. But one of the quote draft experts came on my show, and he put a bug in my ear that if you can get JPJ at 18, there's a good chance you might be able to get another right tackle that maybe wouldn't start for you this year, but might start for you next year in the second round. Do you think the offensive line is that deep in this draft?
I think it is. I think you can get a quality offensive lineman in the second round. Now, you may have to move up a little bit in the second round. That's the other thing. The Bengals have 9 picks. They got all the 7 of their picks, and they have the 2, compensatory picks. All 8 of the guys they drafted last year made the football team. So you got to think, all right, 9 picks this year. You're going to have 17 guys make your football team in 2 years? I mean, to think all the rookies that you draft this year are going to make the roster and have – and not only did they make the roster, by the time the season was over, they had significant roles. I mean, they were all on the 53-man roster and active on game day and providing roles for the football team. So it's like maybe you will maybe it's an opportunity to package, a couple of the picks and move up in the round 2 or round 3 or whatever, and target people in that regard. So yeah, I mean, honestly, you look at it and you say, man, if Murphy's there, the tackle from or he's not that big, but I mean he's a powerful kid, the kid from Texas.
Texas, yeah.
It's like there's not that many defensive tackles. They're more edge guys, deeper at edge, but this guy is a freak. I mean, this guy will probably run like a 4.7 40, and he can squat the world. I mean, he can clean 375 pounds. I mean, he does. He's got unbelievable lateral movement. The explosion, the power he shows. Now he's like 6'1", but hey, Geno Atkins was under 6'1".
Exactly.
I mean, if a guy can play, a guy can play. And so it's like you say, all right, there are fewer centers, there are fewer defensive tackles. Do you think, man, I could get, an offensive tackle. I could get the wide receivers. I mean, if I'm looking at maybe for a wide receiver, it's deep there. It's deep there at offensive tackle. I mean, maybe you play that game a little bit. There's a million ways they could go. And again, first you got to decide who you're going to sign of your own, then who you're going to sign out there in veteran free agency, and now you start thinking about the draft. Then again, there are trade possibilities. I mean, they don't come in big numbers in the National Football League. I mean, it's not, people say, make a trade. There's never a ton of those bad boys.
No, not. It's not like baseball. It's
right.
Not, it's not like they don't trade very often. Just that's the way it is. What's your thoughts on Sweat? I call him DJ Reader 2.0. That dude, I saw him at the Senior Bowl just bend this center, just bending backwards. I mean, he's a big dude. But Lapham, he can freaking move. Going forward, I don't think he needs to do any spin moves or nothing like that. But his power straight forward is ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I think he'd be a guy that you'd look at that would be, like you said, more of the DJ Reader type, And man, I'll tell you, how did Texas lose games with those two guys?
I don't know. Right.
Man,
right next to each other. They're
I know.
Huge.
It's like they had to just create havoc. I bet every center and pair of guard combination that played Texas thought, what the heck? Is this the National Football League? Man, this isn't college football, is it? What the heck?
How would you like to go
against? I got genetic freaks here, man.
How would you like to go against a guy? Well, you say you went against Ed Too Tall Jones. It's probably just the same way. But what's it like going against a guy like Ed Too Tall Jones or seeing Sweat on the other side of the line from you? You're like, oh shit.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, man, trust your technique. Just don't lose your mind here. And then I tell you, man, when I was a rookie, going up against Mike Reed for the first time.
Yeah.
Pass rush drill against Mike Reed. I mean, it's like, I know I didn't close my eyes. How did he get from there to there so quick? This guy was explosive, man.
Right.
I mean, he'd get in that frog stance. He had kind of like had all his weight back in a frog stance, and he just exploded. It was like, wow, this guy is like unbelievable. His quick twitch was like that of a running back, and he's like 255, 260 pounds and just explosive. It's like, oh man, he had 5 sacks against Gene Upshaw in a game when we played the Raiders, and I thought, oh well, hey, at least I'm not the only guy that's thinking, what the heck is this guy all about?
Hey, I'm not that bad. He got him.
Yeah, he got Gene Upshaw. He's supposed to be a Pro Bowler, man. What's going on?
Right, exactly. I always like bringing this game up because you don't ever see this very often. But the game that you played, every position, if I'm correct, guard, it was a guard, center, and both tackles. Is that what you played?
I played. There were 2 games that I played all 5 positions in the same game. Yeah.
Yeah. And that to me is remarkable because we talk about trying to move guys around. I brought this up when they were talking about moving Jonah from left to right. I said, he can do it. I kept bringing you up. I said, Dave Lapham played one game, played every position. I'm sure he can go from left to right. I mean, I know it's the exact opposite of doing everything, which you've been used to. But does you find it surprising that guys don't move around as much as you were able to?
Yeah, I mean, I know it's some guys are so right-handed. I wasn't ambidextrous as such, but I mean, I played high school basketball and I could use both my right and left hand, so I mean, I felt comfortable moving on a basketball court,
Could you dunk it? Could you dunk?
I think I could, yeah. But we weren't allowed to, you get a technical foul if you dunked in warm-ups when I was in high school.
Oh, come on.
Oh, yeah, so that was the deal.
Oh, geez.
I don't know if they were wrecking too many rims and backboards. I don't know what the deal was.
You're hanging on the rim too much, Dave.
Yeah, right. But, I mean, I thought that, honestly, I think basketball really helped me in that regard because I felt comfortable, moving both ways on a court and felt like, that really helped my footwork and, foot quickness and all that sort of thing. So we didn't have wrestling in my high school. So I was a senior and the wrestling coach said, man, you got to wrestle. I said, I got 3 years of basketball and I'm the captain of the basketball team this year, man. I got to play basketball. And he went nuts on me. But I mean, wrestling certainly would have helped. That helps you with football too. But I'll tell you, any young offensive lineman, man, go out there and work on a basketball court. That'll definitely help your movement skills. There's no question. And work on staying low and bend your knees. Don't bend at the hips, bend at the knees, and all the things you need to do.
Did you ever play baseball? Were you ever a baseball player?
Yeah, I did. I played. I was a catcher in baseball. Yeah.
Ooh, you must have been a big catcher. That's a big target back
catcher.
there.
Yeah, big backstop for sure. The umpires love me. I mean, not to get past me too much. But big body back there blocking stuff.
There you go.
And then I put the shot and threw the discus for the track team too.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can see that. That's cool. And that's the thing. A lot of kids these days just play one sport, and I keep trying to tell people, like, let them play multiple sports, because I mean, like you said, basketball, the footwork and everything translate. And the Chargers, it was San Diego Chargers at the time. Their tight end, who I think is getting in the Hall of Fame this year, or should be getting in, Gates. He was a basketball player, college basketball player, yeah. Antonio Gates. So that translated for him into football. And a lot of these sports translate in. I mean, I hate to give Patrick Mahomes any kind of credit on this this podcast, but the reason he can throw the ball at different angles and stuff, because he was a shortstop and played baseball.
Yep.
So that just all.
He could pitch. I mean, his dad was a major league pitcher, and he was a hell of a basketball player too. I mean, he was a multi-sport guy. And I'll tell you, I agree with you. It's like, if you're specializing in one sport, the one thing that playing all these different sports, you're working different muscle groups, body awareness and body development with all these different sports. There's no way that can hurt you. Right. No way. And a lot of the coaches want, man, just get in the weight room, keep pounding iron. Don't go out there and mess around with that. Well, you can still lift and play basketball.
That's what's funny. I remember back when I was in high school, for baseball, they didn't want us to lift because they would throw. They said would throw our swing off. Well, that's not true.
It'll bind you up. It'll make you muscle bound. Yeah.
Yeah. They wouldn't let us, like, on the off season. All of a sudden we lift them, but during the season, nope, don't lift. I'm like, all right. Well, what do I know? So another guy who's pretty good at basketball is Jackpot. He seen a couple of videos of him. He was a damn good shooter. Still a damn good shooter. Like, he don't miss.
He was all state.
Yeah.
All state basketball player.
Yeah.
I mean, and he was a hell of a baseball player too. He played them all.
Exactly.
I just think there's tremendous benefits to that. I really do. I agree.
Let's see. This is an interesting question. Crip Keeper always has interesting questions here. He said, "Hey, Lap, is it true you had to show Jamar Gresham the business in the locker room after a game?"
Yeah, we had a little bit of an altercation. It didn't get physical or anything, but yeah, I mean, we had a little issue post game one time. Yeah, but got over it quickly and moved on.
Yeah, that was a. Did you ever have any problems with Corey Dillon in the locker room or anything like that? Because I mean, Corey, like I said, Corey's been on my show a ton here lately. I mean, Corey's been awesome to me.
Yeah, I think Corey's he's really, really accessible, and Corey's a smart guy.
Oh yeah,
he speaks well. I mean, he's a great communicator. He wasn't interested in doing a whole heck of a lot as a player, and that was understandable. I mean, he had his reasons, but he's grown. I always got along with and respected Corey Dillon to the utmost. I mean, that guy, you talk about a beast, man. I mean, as a former offensive lineman, I had the utmost respect for how he approached the game and how he ran the football. Like, oh my God, man, this guy, this is an offensive lineman's best friend. The way this guy hammers it.
How was it calling the 265 game? I think is the one against Denver, when Denver had the no more run defense, and none of us saw it. I mean, I've told Corey this before, where I was watching whatever game was on because the Bengals game was blacked out. And I'm listening to you, and was it Brad Johansson?
Yeah.
Listen to you guys on the radio. And they're like, "Hey, Corey's gone again." You're like, "Go, Corey!" Like,
oh man, I'll tell you, the thing that they were doing, they were playing like 11 in the box.
Yeah,
I mean, they thought that we're not even going to worry about the passing game. We're going to put 10. They would definitely have 10 in the box. I mean, I'm like, I can't believe. So he would make an unblocked guy miss because you couldn't block more than 7 of them.
Yeah.
He'd make one of them miss, and there was nobody. So I mean, once he made that guy miss, 4 yards beyond the line of scrimmage, see you later. Because that's the thing about Corey Dillon. People don't realize this dude had breakaway speed to go with the power and size and everything. Corey Dillon did not get caught from behind. No. If he busted it, it was like, see ya. Don't hit your head in the goalpost. See you later.
I remember the one I was talking to about it is the 96 yarder he had in Detroit.
Yeah,
that one. I mean, he hit it and that hole opened and he was gone.
Man, I'm telling you,
he practiced that. He would run in practice. He would run every play to the goal line every time.
Yep, he'd run it to the goal line, jog it back. Yep, and he got his conditioning, his cardio, and that was good. good juju for him. Break everything.
He was practicing. All right, so I want to bring this comment up here. Yesterday we had an interesting comment from Wells here. We got one for you real quick. I'll get you out of here on this one. He said, "Is it true that Pat McAnally came into the film room naked once?"
Not naked, but not totally naked.
Just a jockstrap.
Yeah, it was a jock. Yeah, it was. He had on some footwear and a hat and a t-shirt maybe. That was about it. Not totally naked.
Close enough.
And I can tell you what, he was nervous because the turtle was in the shell, man. I mean, it wasn't, and it wasn't that cold, I mean, it was just pure nerves right there.
Oh God, that's awesome. Oh Jesus, Dave, I appreciate you, man. I love having you on the show. You've been over 50 minutes. I'm gonna let you go, man. Go plug some stuff. You got your In the Trenches podcast and everything else you got going on.
Yeah, got here during the off season for sure. We do a podcast In the Trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics. We'll do here around the combine and everything. We'll probably have at least 2, maybe 3 a week. In the off season, try to hit a couple a week, and during the season, try to get 3 out there a week to try to post. So that's a year-round thing, and yeah, I appreciate anybody that might want to take a listen. I just most recent one, I did a couple of podcasts with Phil Simms. We just got a podcast yesterday with Rascati, the newest coach, the pass game coordinator. Talked to him. Yeah, he did a half hour with me. So I mean, it's a lot of fun. Just like you're having fun, Strawberry Ice. I try to do the same, man.
I always try. Hey, Dave, like I said, this is my dream. I've always wanted to do this. So if you can't have fun talking about sports, then why the hell are you doing it? I mean,
yeah, exactly.
So
it's not rocket science, man.
Right, exactly. I wanted to ask you about the coaching stuff. I didn't get to it, but you've been on long enough. I will let you go, man. I appreciate you, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, all I can say is my comment on coach. They have 24 now on the staff.
I know.
24.
Well, okay, so does that?
Paul Brown is spinning in his grave.
I was going to ask you that. I'm like, because we were known for not having enough scouting department. Now we got a whole bunch of coaches. We have more coaches than we've ever had. I mean, we have a passing game coordinator, Dave. Paul Brown's going, what the hell is that? I mean,
you got an offensive coordinator, you have a run game coordinator,
right.
Offensive line coach, you have a pass game coordinator, you have a quarterback coach, you have a wide receiver. It's like, whoo! You have an assistant offensive line coach. It's a different day. There's no doubt, but everybody's doing it, man.
Yeah,
everybody's doing it, and everybody's trying to find just that one thing that's going to make a difference, going to put you over the top.
Yeah, and that thing might hopefully shut some people up about they need more voices in the room, and Zach needs to stop play calling and all that stuff because they have more people in and different voices. So it kind of helps out with some of that, I think, where people are like, oh, that's not the same guys. Like, yeah, well, the same guys got us through Super Bowl and AFC Championship game too. So
I like the hire though, Rascati. He comes from Minnesota.
Yeah.
So you got a quarterback up there that's got unbelievable football IQ, Cousins.
Right.
And he looks at the game through the same kind of prism that Joe Burrow does. So I think there's a lot of similarity there with what goes on with quarterbacks. And the two head coaches are good friends, respect each other. There's a lot of similarities there. I mean, I think it's going to be very interesting, the contributions that he's going to make and what they do up in Minnesota and how they do it. I mean, I think that's going to be valuable info.
And real quick, one more thing. How cool was it to listen to Brian Callahan talk about the Bengals organization, the Browns, his relationship with Zach? I mean, he's saying stuff about the Brown-Blackburn family that, honestly, there's times I never thought I'd hear somebody talk that nicely about them. I mean, he was literally tearing up talking about them. I mean, I thought that was very thoughtful and just shows how things have changed around here, I think, Dave.
Yeah, it shows that, and it shows a lot about Brian Callahan. I mean, he was choked up. I mean, he was emotional, and particularly when he started talking about Mike, and honestly, I mean, there's a football lifer. His dad is coach, still in the game, coaching. So, I mean, football is Brian Callahan's entire life, and I just think he got overwhelmed by the fact that here's the opportunity that I've been working for my whole life to be a head coach in the National Football League, and who made the biggest contribution to help me get here? was the Brown Blackburn family and Zach Taylor. I think it was all overwhelming to me, all overwhelming to him. But when I think about Brian Callahan, the number one thing I think about with that guy, not just his football acumen, but dude, just an unbelievable people person. He is a relationship guy. He might be as good a human being as you're ever going to want to meet in your life.
Right.
And I think he's going to do well. I really do.
Hey, real quick, we'll let you know we're having the Jackpot Joey golf outing May 19th. If you are in town and want to go swing some golf clubs, let me know. We will have a spot for you.
Where are you guys? What golf course do you guys use?
Ashton Oaks. It's out
Ashton
here.
Oaks.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's the west side. We got to stay with the west side.
There you go. I hear you.
If you're interested, let me know. We will get you to foursome, or if you got a foursome, let us know. We will get you in there. It's a good time, and 100% of the money goes to the Joe Burrow Foundation. So if you're interested, try to get a foursome, or just want to come in and play, just let me know.
Good stuff. Good work. Appreciate you, sir.
All right, Dave. I appreciate you, man. Take it easy.
Have a good one.
See ya. All right, guys. Dude, Dave Lapham is awesome. He is such a cool, down-to-earth guy. I love having him on. He's Wells, you did it again with the Pat McAfee. I almost said Pat McAfee. Pat McAnally. I get it right. That story. That was great. Anyway, you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you for watching. Make sure you hit the thumbs up, hit the subscription, share the show out. I had a lot of views on yesterday's show with the jockstrap story. Now we got the almost naked story of Pat McAnally. So you can share that out. I've been live streaming on ZTV, YouTube, X, Rumble, and if you're listening to the podcast on BeanPod, Apple, iTunes, Spotify, Google, Stitcher Play, pretty much wherever you get your podcast. Please make sure you rate, like, and review. Shout out to all my sponsors. Go down to the Home and Garden Show. Go check out my boys at Meyer Door and Window. Get you a free estimate. If you need some windows for the springtime coming up, it's going to get hot here in Cincinnati. Get you some nice windows. Keep that nice cool AC in. It's probably still going to get cold here too, so you want to keep it warm. But make sure you go check out Meyer Door and Windows. Also, if you're out and about, go to Midwest Best Barbecue. Especially, I think it's April 26th. Whatever the second day of the draft is. We're Project Game Day and Bengals and Brewers and Cincy Hat are going to be doing a draft day party there at Midwest Best. So Cincy Hat, Midwest Best, all going to be there. The Brewer Crew is going to be there. I hope I'm going to be there. They're saying I got to get a ticket, so hopefully they'll give me a ticket so I can get in. But when all that information comes out, Bengals and Brewers and them will share it out. So make sure go eat some chicken wings. Got the Uno wings. Like I said, I still can't figure out if I like the Uno wings or I like to see TB wings the best. Those are the two that I'm still trying to figure out. Anyway, shout out to T Properties, Jackpot Joey, all that cool stuff. You guys have a wonderful day. It was going to be Angelo Dawkins on the show tomorrow. He had to cancel. We're moving him to next Tuesday, so I'm not sure who's going to be on the show tomorrow. I'm reaching out to a couple of different people, but it'll be a great show. Thursday, it's confirmed as I can get it that Greg Vaughn is going to be on the show, former Red, on the 99 team. He's going to be on the show on Thursday. Other than that, you guys have a wonderful evening. Throw it up. That's your sports, baby. See ya!